a divine dream. My divine dream is to have one international university of Sthapatya Ved, which will be absolutely dedicated in reviving, re-establishing, and researching the time-tested wisdom and values of the knowledge which was eternal, which has science and technology, mathematics, astrology, precise metaphysics, parapsychology, geometry, what not, encompassing all the subjects of knowledge. It's not merely knowledge of habitation. Sthapana means establishment. Sthapatya Ved is knowledge of establishment. Establishment of everything outer, physical, and everything inner means consciousness. So it is establishment of consciousness in the manifested value. So it establishes metaphysical values in physical values to enfold universal values to cater absolutely, completely humankind, human race, ecosystem, on the basis of natural laws which are defined in the science and technology of Sthapatya Ved. It is something wonderful. If one goes through it, one can realize that how hundreds and thousands of years ago, a temple, one sculpture, one town planning of whether it is Indus Valley or Indus Valley is not very ancient as per Vedic text. As per Vedic text, if we go, then we have different mathematical calculations of the Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar, Kalyuga, then Chaturyugi, then calculating so many Chaturyugis, then Manvantas, then one second of Brahma. So it goes to very, very great values of time. So the thing is that if we try to understand, realize, observe something which is eternal, which is time tested, then if we go beyond our egos, beyond our limited psyche and sight, then we'll understand that how greatly whole human race is going to be benefited by the knowledge of Vedic sciences and technologies. If we don't restrict this knowledge to a special race, to special geographical boundaries, to special political boundaries, special ethnical boundaries, just be open-minded. If we open our eyes, if we open our hearts, if we open our psyche, if we open our wisdom towards real wisdom, then we'll realize that how great things are missing just by these narrow consciousness, psyche and sight. Now this is the time that whole globe is facing so many problems which are caused by simply petty things, simply small, limited, caged boundaries of social, religious, so-called ethnical, so-called political, so-called different limited caged life what we are living. So just come out of it and just see how the whole race can be benefited but real cultural values, real religious values, real social values, real political boundary, go beyond real politics. Real politics means the word meaning of the politics in Hindi, that is Rajniti. The Rajniti is not manipulation. Rajniti, Raj means governance, Niti means policies. Rajniti means those wonderful policies which are time tested and eternal based on natural laws, that is called real Rajniti, real politics. But now, just because of so many affairs what we are seeing today, politics and Rajniti has become such a bad word that if somebody is a manipulator, somebody is a negatively tricky, then we say that don't do politics, don't do Rajniti. So this is matter of shameful translation, shameful conversion of the great words, great values into something which is absolutely, I don't want to use even the word for that. So now, when we know that we have wonderful knowledge which is time tested, which made human race absolutely physically healthy, mentally at peace, and spiritually evolved, so that Ram, Raj, Dukh, Kahu na Vyapa, everybody was happy, blissful, nourishing, caring, taking care of each other. So that was the Ram Raj. That was the laws of nature based politics, laws of nature based administration, laws of nature based architecture, laws of nature based town planning, laws of nature based complete political, social, cultural, agricultural, so many fields were nourished by those natural laws which are taking care of everything. Even we eat food, we don't know how food is digested. There are hundreds of chemicals, enzymes, hormones, emulsification, so many things are taking place in our stomach, in our body, we don't even know. Who is running all that? So if we do very little thing, we just simply take food and we don't even know how things are digested. So just have faith in that eternal values which is running the universe. Just imagine how many chemical changes and processes are taking place in the body. Nobody knows, whether literate or illiterate or Nobel Prize winner or whatever greatest prize winners, greatest scientists. So many things are happening, even we don't know a minor fraction of it. And we say that we are scientists, we are expert in this and that. We even don't know how things are happening in this universe. So just have faith, yogastha kuru karmani, be aligned with those natural laws and perform the duty. Then what happens? Maya dakshin prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Then whatever you wish, you become. Jo iksha kari ho man mahi, Prabhu pratap kach durlabh nahi. So my wish is to establish one university which nourishes every human brain, every human consciousness with the fulfillment of knowledge. Knowledge which is based on natural laws. Knowledge of Sthapatya Ved, which establishes the perfection of the consciousness in the body, which is perfect because of consciousness and because we are dealing with consciousness, which is a special tool of universal natural laws, whether we call it God, we call it divine, we call it whatever name we give to that great universal consciousness. So if we are in alliance with that consciousness and then we perform the duty, so then our vision goes to infinity. If we are architect, we think of infinity. If we are scientist, we think for infinity. If we are doctor, environmentalist, or politician or administrator, we will never think less than the totality. So if we are aligned with that, then every action, every thought, every impulse will be nourished with totality. So whatever we'll do, that will be perfect for human being, for animate, for inanimate, for ecosystem, for natural laws, for environment, everything. So our great wish is to establish one international university of Sthapatya Ved, which will be dedicated wholly to research and development in the field of consciousness-based architecture. That architecture which is not merely a building made of bricks and mortar. It is the architecture, it is going to be architecture, it is going to be building which is very lively, like any pran pratisthit murti. When we put one idol in a temple, then the process of pran pratishtha, establishment of life in it, is performed. Then that idol becomes lively, vibrant. Whenever one goes to pray, the prayer is heard and responded properly. So similarly, this consciousness-based architecture, consciousness-based town planning, consciousness-based civil architecture, temple and everything, that will nourish every individual to that fullest level, so that no stresses, strains, guilts and complexes will be generated. Because if a car or if a vehicle has a good shock absorber, then it is not damaged by any bump because of its shock absorbing capacity. So if one is with absolutely flexibility, nourishment and that shock absorbing capacity, that can make a person so tolerant of any negativity that no negativity will affect any physiology or psychology in negative way. Everybody will be nourished physically, mentally, spiritually. So because what we see that any crime, whether it is a social crime, it is a political crime, or it is crime committed because of emotional outburst or whatever it is, if we try to analyze things, the basic thing behind every negative karma, every negative action is stress. The stresses, strains, guilts, complexes. So if we create a society, if we create a town planning, if we create a house which is absolutely in alliance with natural laws, with magnetic field, with colors, with proportions, with material, with plants, with everything, which is in absolute alliance with natural law. And what is natural law? If we take a pot and put the mouth down, and if we put it 1 kilometer down in the river, or not river, if 1 kilometer down in an ocean, so not a single drop will enter in that pot if it is inverted. So if we tilt it a little bit, then few drops will start to go inside. If we go 1 kilometer deep in ocean and the pot is inverted, then no water will enter. When we put it angular, that at some angle one air will come out and water will go inside. Similarly, if we create a house which is absolutely east facing, absolutely in alliance with natural laws, then all those celestial forces like east is sun, Southeast is Venus, south is Mars, southwest is Rahu, dragon's head, west is Saturn, northwest is Moon, north is Mercury, northeast is Jupiter. So if we take care of all those radiations, whether house faces which direction, so it is nourishing itself or its persons who are living in that house, how the house is nourishing those persons who are living in that house. So if we take care of all those things, all those proportions of all those colors, all those materials, everything, so then it can affect the persons who are living it differently. So if it is in perfect alliance with all those natural laws, all those radiations, ventilations, plants and so many other things, then every person will have that great resistance, that great flexibility, that great shock absorbing capacity, that great composition of hormones, enzymes and all those healthy chemicals, so that one will not get stressed. No complexes, no stresses, no guilts. So the person, if a person is not having any stresses, strains, guilts, complexes, then the person is very healthy. So it can become more tolerant, more cultured, more nourishing, more caring for others. When you are fulfilled, then you simply share fulfillment. If someone is negative, somebody is, very negative and not nourished, then what happens? What the person can share? Simply what he or she has. So it means if one has negativity, one shares negativity. If one is fulfilled, then one shares fulfillment. So how to make one fulfilled absolutely? Physically, mentally, spiritually. By what? By creating all those knowledges revived, re-established, rejuvenated, which can address these problems. So what are they? If you know your physiology by Ayurveda, you can follow all the Ritucharya in what season, what physiology you have, what season, what should you eat. If you know your physiology, your psyche, your talent, then you can organize your home according to that, its orientation, whatever side it has. The color, placement, proportion, plants, indoor plants, outdoor plants, so many things. So if you know your psyche, your physiology, you can select what sound, what frequency suits you in what time, what praharas. So it's all Gandharva Ved, right? So what inner and outer nourishment can be made, how polluting tendencies we have with us. So just by following all those disciplines, that whatever negativity and pollution we are creating, how to neutralize it, how to nourish the nature, that is by yajnas, yajnanushthan. Whatever pollution we are creating, we can depollute it. We can create more healthy atmosphere. Whatever negativity we have created, it can be neutralized. So all these things can be studied in the International University of Sthapatya Ved. All architecture, civil architecture, public architecture, town planning, we have hundreds of thousands of names of houses. Dhruv, Dhan, Jay, Nand, Khar, Kaan, Sumuk, Dumuk, Akrant, hundreds of. We have different types of town planning. Dandak, Saptubhad, Nandya, Vartul, Padma, Karmuk, Prastar, Chaturbuk, Rajdhani planning. We have great planning. So these are the plannings of every individual house, town planning, temples, and temples which are not merely places of worship. It is the machinery, it is the science and technology to enfold those natural energies. This is Nagarshali, this is temple of Nagarshali, this is temple of Vesar Shali, this is temple of Dravid Shali, what deity it belongs to, it all, what does it mean? What deity means? Devata. Devata is made up of Devadhatu. Dev means light, energy. So it means if this temple is dedicated to that particular deity, it means that is that particular energy which is enfolded, charged in that particular temple, that particular structure, it is dedicated for. So this is not merely spiritual things. These are enfolding those energies which can make the whole atmosphere absolutely charged. We know the technology of pyramid. If 1/3 up, 1/3 down, if we take 1/3 of the center of a pyramid, then because of lesser molecular activities there, if something is kept there, then it is preserved, because lesser molecular activity means lesser decay. So this is the power of shapes. This is the power of Sthapatya Ved, which describes every temple, every house, every public architecture with its special name. So in Vedic science is Sthapatya Veda. The name is not merely a noun. A noun is not merely a name of a person, place or thing. Every noun qualifies itself. It tells the qualities of itself. Like we have Dwadash Adityas. Dwadash means 12, Adityas means sun. So why the same sun is given 12 nouns? Because we know that if a newly born baby is suffering from jaundice, then modern allopathic doctors say that expose this baby in early morning sun, rising sun. What happens? That radiation of rising sun, that is non-material value, it creates some material value that is called chemical, and that cures the liver. So it means that radiation which is non-material value, it creates some material value, and that material value cures the liver, because your jaundice is cured, that infant jaundice is cured. It means that every radiation has a quality. So it means that early morning radiation has a different physical chemical quality. If the same sun goes in afternoon 2 or 3 o'clock in May, June in afternoons in this hemisphere, then that is going to be terrible. If somebody goes out with the open head in summers in May, June in afternoons in 48-degree temperature, then he'll have sunstroke. 100, 300, 4, fever will go high, pitta, acidity will go up, a person will become sick. So what is it? It is different type of physical chemical properties of those radiation of that sun of afternoon, which is the same sun which rises in the morning. But morning it is nourishing your liver, so the noun is different. In afternoons, that radiation is hurting you, making one sick in summers. So that physical chemical quality of that radiation has a different quality. That's why in Vastu it has a different name. It is a different noun. So a noun is not merely a name of a person, place or thing. In Vedic science, every noun is an adjective in itself also, because that noun is telling the quality of that particular noun, particular thing. So this is how we take care of Sthapatya Ved. Takes care of everything, and all the buildings and temples, they are not merely temples of worship. They are the apparatuses, they are the machineries, they are the tool, they are the process of unfolding a particular energy to enhance particular power. And that is something very important. So my wish is to create, my dream is to create, and that dream, the seed of that dream is sown by my great guru to revive, to re-establish this knowledge. When I came back from Europe and I dedicated my life to my great guru, then he blessed me and he gave me responsibility to revive this subject globally, because no university was teaching it. So he gave me full physical material, whatever resources I required to revive, to get the best people, to hire the best people, to give them best facilities. So I hired best people, best professor of civil engineering, architecture, planning, along with Vedic scientists, best professor of Ayurveda, best professor of Sanskrit, best professor of literature. So we try to convert every word in modern scientific terms, and first international conference was held in Holland, and in the first international conference of Sthapatya Ved, my master asked me to inaugurate first institute of Sthapatya Ved there in Holland, and it was in 90s. Now, by his blessings, this Sthapatya Ved Vastu Shastra is seen getting glory all around the world, but still much more has to be done academically, because the authentic experts are very less. But many people are, just, of course, they are doing things of their level of consciousness. At least they are spreading the term and by basic things. But the knowledge is very deep, very wide, very sound, very comprehensive, very integrated. And in Vedic science, it is said that every person should sarva shastra vitta kriya patuh. Every expert of whether it is Ayurveda, whether it is music, whether it is Vastu, Sthapatya Ved, every expert should have the knowledge of sarva shastra vitta kriya patuh. He should be expert in all the texts as well as all applied science and technologies. Sarva shastra vitta kriya patuh manasah shuchita. His or her mind should be very pure. It should never be, nobody should be able to lure it. It should not be compromising. It should be very pure to the knowledge, no compromising at all. Whatever one faces, whatever consequences comes, but one never compromises with the subject. So we want one university of Sthapatya Ved, which is going to be dedicated absolutely to revive the time-tested eternal wisdom of Sthapatya Ved, the town planning, civil architecture, domestic architecture, temple architecture. As I told, temple is not merely a place of worship. It is something much more than that. It's enfolding and recharging and restoring that great grand consciousness which can nourish that particular level of consciousness, branch of consciousness. All social forestry, all great astrology which is incorporated to make the subject rich, all ecosystem nourishing activities like Yajna Anushtans. So I want to make such a university which can revive all the branches of knowledge in International University of Sthapatya Ved, and all the people I invite all the people of expertise of their own field who can come here. I just want to make one request to everybody, anybody who wants to gain something, to take something out of it, monetary or something like that. He should come here. He should think of it. Everybody who is going to give something to it, dedicate something to it, only those persons are required. Because this center won't be so-called profit generating center. It is going to be a place where everybody will dedicate their best to this university. In reciprocation, no expectations at all. Only giving. So we want to gather people, we want to invite people who want to just give their best to this institution, so that when we are going to create or nourish the students, we'll select all the best brilliant students more skilled, more talented than any IITians. And if IITians are interested to revive this time-tested great knowledge, we invite them. We'll select amongst them also who have not only that level of IQ, but they have EQs and SQs also. All those spiritual quotient and emotional quotients, everything. Not merely a great IQ, so that they can generate a great profit, not caring of nourishing nature, nourishing others. So we want the people of best IQs as well as best EQs, emotional quotient, as well as best SQs, spiritual quotient, so that one is not taking care of nourishing himself or herself only, but every person who is going to be involved in this university will take care of nourishment of every individual animate or inanimate object, every individual, every part of this great universe, just to nourish every atom of this universe. So I invite all the brilliant people who want to dedicate their services, their talent, and not expecting anything out of it. I invite students who want to dedicate their lives in research in this time-tested great knowledge, wisdom of Sthapatya Ved, and not anticipating anything in reciprocation. Just they should have the giving tendencies to society, to nature. And we are interested that all great people should be involved with it, so that nobody, we will not charge a single penny from the student, we will not charge single penny for consultation, we will not charge single penny for any activity, and anybody who's involved in it won't be charging a single penny out of anything. And everybody should take care of this institution on their own, for their own self, to nourish their own self, to nourish the bigger self, bigger consciousness, bigger unity consciousness, which is nourishing total nature. And that is how this institution will run, just by the contribution and spirit and dedication of every individual. And what we will reciprocate, we won't charge a single penny from the society, but we will try to create that perfection, that height of perfection of knowledge, so that whatever field society want to utilize us in, that eternal natural law-based town planning, natural law-based architecture, civil architecture, domestic architecture, temple architecture, whatever, we will give consultation just in reciprocation of nourishment of society. And our handful of people will nourish all 5, 6, 7, 8 billion people, whatever are there on the globe. And this is my vision which is sown by my great Guru. And I hope that this is going to be created very, very soon, because I know that every individual has a percentage of God in itself. So we just have to understand, realize that consciousness, that part of godliness in everybody. So everybody will create that 1% of godliness into 100%, and everybody will come forward to create this great institution which will revive all the great wisdom, time-tested wisdom of Sthapatya Ved, to nourish the whole globe on physical level, mental level, spiritual level, emotional level, social level, political level, eco-friendly level, nourishing nature, all dimensions, all 360 degree plus. 360 degree means manifested values, and plus means that consciousness which makes anybody live. If our soul goes away, whatever manifested beautiful healthy body we have, it won't work unless that consciousness, that plus, that unmanifested value is established in it. So all 360-degree plus we are going to entertain, nourish, and my dream, I think all the great consciousness will start moving, jumping, running forward to it, and to see this thing to become a reality as soon as possible. I invite all the great leaders internationally, political leaders, social leaders, leaders who are nourishing nature, society by their NGOs, all the great brilliant people who have done enough, who have stored enough, who have accumulated enough for their livelihood. Now they should dedicate their life, their wisdom, their expertise in reviving this ancient, time-tested knowledge of Sthapatya Ved for the benefit to nourish the whole globe, to really practice and see the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam coming true in real sense. I invite with great expectation and enjoyment and bliss to see this dream come true. Huh?